The Minnesota Vikings quarterback situation is a very interesting one, and it is one worthy to discuss for a long, long time because of how it looks. The Minnesota Vikings, for the first time in NFL history, selected a quarterback in the top 10 of the NFL draft, and they selected J.J. McCarthy. They traded up one spot with the New York Jets so that Sean Payton didn't jump them, and they drafted their quarterback out of Michigan. But what makes it interesting is because Sam Darnold has been in the NFL for lots of seasons. I have the numbers right here. He's been in the NFL since 2018. He played 3 years with the Jets, 2 years with the Carolina Panthers, and 1 year with the San Francisco 49ers. So this is going to be his fourth team in 6 seasons, the Minnesota Vikings. And what makes it interesting is that J.J. McCarthy is a very young 21-year-old quarterback, one of the youngest players to enter the NFL draft as a quarterback in NFL history. I mean, how many 21-year-old quarterbacks do you see on NFL rosters? I don't think you see very many. So what makes this interesting is the development of J.J. McCarthy, the experience of Sam Darnold. So I'm going to predict the Minnesota Vikings quarterback situation in this podcast. And I'm also going to make a bold claim about Sam Darnold. This podcast is presented by Hokeland Farm. Contact Hokeland Farm at 952-491-1541 for the best rotationally grazed 100% grass-fed beef. Jared has the best beef around. And guess what? You get 20% off.
You kidding me?
By mentioning the Minnesota Tim podcast. This is a deal of a lifetime. So contact Jared at 952-491-1541 for the best rotationally grazed beef around and get 20% off.
You kidding me?
I am not kidding. This is real, and this is spectacular. So take advantage of this deal today. So looking at Sam Darnold's track record, he was drafted by the Jets in 2018, and that was his first NFL season. And he plays right away. He has a 4-9 career record his rookie season. And then in 2019, he goes 7-6 with the New York Jets. And then in 2020, he goes 2-10. Oof. His numbers in 2018, 17 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. 2019, 13 interceptions to 19 touchdowns. And in 2020, 9 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. I think just as equally important is to look at the head coaching situation Sam Darnold had with the New York Jets. In 2018, when he was drafted, Todd Bowles was the head coach for the New York Jets, his last year with the team, defensive guy. They bring on Adam Gase in 2019, hoping to unlock Sam Darnold. And technically, Sam Darnold had his best career NFL season in Adam Gase's first career opportunity as a head coach. He has 19 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, a 7-6 record as their quarterback, a 62% completion percentage. All of those numbers are Sam Darnold's career best. But he only lasted 2 years as a head coach, because then the following year, Sam Darnold has a career worst. 2 wins to 10 losses, 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. That's tough. And then he gets traded to the Carolina Panthers. And who's waiting for him at the Carolina Panthers? Well, Matt Rule. Matt Rule takes over in 2020. Sam Darnold comes along in 2021. How many collegiate coaches have been successful NFL coaches? I can think of one, Jim Harbaugh. I can think of one that was close, and he's the greatest collegiate head coach of all time, Nick Saban. He was close, with the Miami Dolphins, but they rejected a trade because Drew Brees didn't pass the team's physical. That would have completely changed the landscape of Nick Saban's career. If Drew Brees could mimic the success in Miami if they accepted the deal, as he did with Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints. But as far as his record goes, he wasn't a successful NFL head coach. And then Sam Darnold, after a couple of years with the Carolina Panthers, signs with the San Francisco 49ers and played a backup role for most of the season to Brock Purdy. He got a little run in. His quarterback record was 0-1. He had 2 touchdowns to 1 interceptions, a 61% completion percentage, and he is under Kyle Shanahan. So you look at Sam Darnold's history in the NFL, and you look at the situations. The Jets have been a laughingstock for a long time. The Carolina Panthers haven't been that much better. And then he finally steps into a decent situation, and he performs decently for the San Francisco 49ers. Josh McCown talked about the maturation. I hate to say mature. And maturation kind of sounds like mature, but he has really matured as a quarterback in the NFL. And I believe that Sam Darnold might shock the world this year and become an efficient and effective NFL quarterback. What I'm thinking is a little Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now, Ryan Fitzpatrick was streaky. He was hot and cold, which is the definition of streaky. And I think Sam Darnold, with this situation, with Kevin O'Connell as the head coach, and Justin Jefferson, the best wide receiver in the NFL, Aaron Jones, a very, very good running back in the NFL, at least has one more good year in him, and he's multidimensional as a receiver in the backfield and a rushing running back, can do it all. And then Jordan Addison, who might be emerging, according to reports, as a number 1B option to Justin Jefferson. Now, Hawkinson's not going to be back for a long time, probably mid-season. He's kind of dodged questions about when he's going to come back. And when he comes back, is he really going to be 100%? Probably not. So Hawkinson probably won't be a very viable elite tight end option until the end of the season after the hit by the Detroit Lions safety, was like Corey Joseph, that knocked him out. And Sam Darnold. So even though Hawkinson is out, Sam Darnold still has elite weapons, like a running back and 2 good receivers, even a decent third receiver, Brandon Powell. I thought he played really, really well last year and fit that role perfectly. And the Minnesota Vikings defense has also gotten better. So the amount of pressure that is going to be on the Minnesota Vikings offense this year should be less than years before. So I think Sam Darnold is going to shock the world, and he is going to play out of his mind this year. And then the Minnesota Vikings will let him go on free agency, and he'll sign somewhere else next year. People have doubted Sam Darnold, and rightfully so. I mean, why wouldn't you when you look at his career numbers and you look at the teams he's bounced between? But you also need to factor in the situation he was in, the head coaches he was playing for, the receivers he was throwing to. I mean, when is the last time the New York Jets, besides Garrett Wilson right now, when is the last time the New York Jets had an elite wide receiver? They had bum wide receivers for years. Same with the Carolina Panthers. So this is the first time Sam Darnold is entering the year as the starter, throwing to elite wide receivers. And, players are going to say things this offseason, like Jordan Addison talked about the tight spiral from Sam Darnold. And I think that's a little overrated. I think it's very overrated because players are going to praise their teammates until they step onto the field and throw 5 picks. So I believe Sam Darnold will start most of the season. And I believe the best case scenario for J.J. McCarthy is to start mid-season at like game 9, game 8, something like that. Because the Minnesota Vikings bye week is early. So they don't even have the luxury of, bye week, middle of the season. Sam Darnold's coming off a couple of rough games. You prepare J.J. McCarthy during the bye week, and then you get him ready for that game. Now, I think the Minnesota Vikings bye week is in like week 5 or something like that. So you look at the history of Sam Darnold. You look at the situations, the head coaches, the players he was surrounded by. And this is by far the best situation he's ever been in his entire career. And he's clearly got the arm talent, or he wouldn't have been a top 3 quarterback. And he's clearly got something going for him because he's still in the NFL. He's entering his 7th season. And there's been plenty of quarterbacks that, were kind of bust like Sam Darnold is, that are out of the league by now. And he's still there. So he clearly has a talent that evaluators like, and that Kevin O'Connell is going to try to get the most out of. So he's going to shock people. Sam Darnold is going to light it up for the Minnesota Vikings this year. And the Minnesota Vikings are going to shock people. I get they're in a division with the Chicago Bears, the Green Bay Packers, and the Detroit Lions. One of the best divisions in football. But Caleb Williams, he's still a rookie. He's not guaranteed to light it up right away. Jordan Love, I expect to step back. And the Detroit Lions, are they going to really be as spectacular and as hot as they were last year? Probably not. The odds are against that. So I'm not saying the Minnesota Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that they're going to be an automatic playoff team. But I am going to tell you right now that the Minnesota Vikings are going to shock and surprise a lot of people, and that is going to be led by the shocking performances by Sam Darnold, because he's going to do things. So that's the take on the Minnesota Vikings. But if you've been familiar with my work recently, I like to play a video that is funny. This thread on Twitter and X has just gotten people going, myself included. So let me enjoy this video along with you, because this is some funny stuff.
Picking up some snow, are we? Yes, we are. In Princeton, we picked up 9 inches of snow. Bill Ricka had 7. The biggest amount that I could find, almost as big as me, about 9 inches. Bill Ricka 7, and in Stoneham we had 6. Peabody 5.5, and Natick about 2.5. Brookline picked up about 2.
Now, I think this is an intentional dick joke. Obviously, it sounds like a dick joke, but what makes it an intentional dick joke is the pause right when he says, almost as good as me. This guy, this weather reporter, I wonder if he's still working there, because he's talked about not as big as me. That's a dick joke. That's legendary. This guy must have made thousands and thousands of people laugh that night, because that's hilarious and hysterical and bold. The weather reporter, if I was them, I would have given this guy a contract extension right away, because he is immortal. What a beauty. Thank you for watching. And if you think Sam Darnold is going to be a good quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings or a bad quarterback, leave your thoughts in the comment sections right down there. I want to hear your take on it. And if you're watching, please hit that subscribe button right there. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please rate, review, and follow this podcast wherever you're listening to this podcast. Everyone, take care, and you guys have a great day.